I myself really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was good. I thought it was excellent. If you had to describe your thoughts on this movie in like a phrase, what would it be?
Satisfying. I don't even need a
really
phrase.
was.
I don't need a phrase. It's just, it was very satisfying. Yes, all the yeses.
Right on, man. Absolutely. What's up, my know-it-alls? Welcome to, this is a little bit different. We have a podcast studio, and what we're doing is me and Mrs. Know-it-all are having a conversation about the movie we just got finished seeing. It's Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk through it a little bit. I have a non-spoiler review up, and which has my thoughts and whatnot on it. But we're going to give. I changed it up. I was going to give my score there, but decided to wait until this to give my score because I feel like this is more the conversation that will make my score make sense. Because
that's fair.
I will say, as a spoiler to her, I changed my score slightly. I know. Well, because it sat with me now. Because so to be fair, we're filming this the day after we saw it, and or recording this, and it had a chance to kind of sit with me and digest with me. And so yeah, I want to for sure. I do want to take a chance. What?
So what if I told you that I may have changed mine too?
Oh, look at that. Okay, good.
But
no, that's
not
good.
by much though. If not. You'll
Yeah.
understand when I get there.
No, right on. That sounds good. Okay, well, let's get into it, man. Mission Impossible. It's the last hurrah. Allegedly. We say that. And spoilers, by the way, we're going to spoil the heck out of this. So if you are not ready for that, sorry, because we're going to totally spoil this. But yeah, so he's been playing this role for like 30 years.
Has it been that long?
It's something stupid. It's like 1990, I think 1994, 1993 was the first one.
That sounds about right then, as far
Yeah.
as like 30 years are concerned.
Yeah, man. It's like in the early 90s, mid 90s rather, late 90s, mid 90s, 95, mid 90s.
95?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, the first one. Yeah, the first one goes back to, I believe, 95. I could be wrong. I'm going to double check that right now just because I have a computer in front of me, which isn't normal.
I know we have.
Normally we don't.
We normally don't, which is why I kind of like this because I actually have like all the actors and who they played like right in front of
for real.
That
Absolutely.
doesn't. I'll still screw up names. I will still screw up who played what, even though it's in front of me.
So 1996 is technically when it came out. It says May of 1996 is when
I'm trying to think, where was I in 96? So that's why I'm like, I have no.
Sure.
Wow.
Sure. So let's go. Let's just first. So this comes in right on the heels of the last movie, which was Dead Reckoning. This is the Final Reckoning.
Mm-hmm.
Final Reckoning was supposed to be the sequel to Dead Reckoning, but as in it was originally going to be part 1, part 2, but they didn't. They ended up changing the name. So industry-wise, the word that I heard was that it was because people assumed, oh, we're not going to get all the answers in part 1. It's stupid. They've broken it up in part 2. Now it's almost like it was a Deathly Hallows situation from Harry Potter.
Okay.
Which is where they broke up the last one. Everyone thought that was kind of a cash grab, even though the story was really just huge. Like it's
just
so
too big.
Yeah.
Sure.
And
this was a big story though too.
I thought so too. A couple of things that I out the gate, kind of answering we get all the Tom Cruise-isms.
All of them. A couple shots of him.
So
not
many.
just one. All the running.
So many.
All the running. I'm exhausted from watching him run. All the running shots. Like you got him. Like that's what makes Mission Impossible.
It does. No,
you
for
gotta
real.
get that. You gotta get that shot of him running.
Yeah, I enjoyed seeing him do because so you run into this thing when you're watching these, where every time you see anything that defies logic, defies sanity, that you're like, it's clearly a set piece of some kind, you immediately, unlike anybody else ever before, you go, yeah, he did this. I guarantee you.
Oh, yeah. And if not all of it, most of it.
Right.
Yeah.
And
the airplane sees, we know he's a pilot. We know he jumps out of planes. We know, I do believe he honestly jumped out of the plane.
I do too, actually.
I'm not so sure it was on the actual climbing through and above and beyond and on top of all the airplanes that we were that high in the air. I'm pretty sure. I would assume that was a set piece. Could be. I don't know, man. It's hard to tell because he does his own stunts and he's
more involved in any of the marketing that I've ever seen any talent ever be.
Yeah.
Like to the point that we saw our screening was a fan screening. Mm-hmm. Which was great, and I was so excited because we got to actually get to see it a little bit before everybody else, get kind of to chew on it for a minute. And the fact that he opens it by thanking us for watching the movie.
I was just getting ready to say that, like, he actually, like, thanks us for, thank you for coming, thank you for seeing it in theaters, I hope you like this. It just the whole, like,
yeah.
And we don't get that with any other showing. I think the only other time we ever gotten it was when we had seen The Chosen in theaters. When we got the thank you from the director.
Sure,
Dallas
right.
Jenkins.
Yeah, you're right, totally.
But that's literally the only other time that we've seen that, which I thought, man, that's awesome.
It was so cool, and so especially what's funny is he's massive. Like
it's an IMAX.
Yeah, it's like they punched in on him like he was like a wide or anything to give us his shoulders and head. It was his neck and shoulder. This was his bust.
Yeah.
Saying, thank you so much. And I'm like, bro.
And you saw every pore of the poor man's face.
I was like, what? Anyway. And then, okay.
You saw his age.
You definitely saw his age. I think you saw his age a lot in this.
You did. He's not that young guy anymore that had wooing teens and stuff. No. I mean, now with us wooing teens. I never was one of those wooing teens on Tom Cruise, but they're all my age now, so.
No, that's right on. All right, so what about, we had the team.
Yes.
A lot of team.
He made a ragtag team, man.
Bro, and which is so funny because I feel like that's very Mission Impossible.
Well, you know, it was also very Mission Impossible because now I'm thinking about how he got a couple people from the teams and everything. Yeah. Is we got all the Mission Impossible isms.
We did.
At one point, we got the masks. Yep. We got the run. We got this will self-destruct. We got all of the isms again.
Multiple
versions, yeah.
Which I thought was cool. The music, I love the music. So there are these musical notes, and I did mention this in my non-spoiler review. Everybody thinks, oh well, Danny Elfman rebreathed new life into the theme back in the '90s. Which he did, but what he also did was they brought in what was these very popular sounding musical tone musical cuts from the old show. So like there's this thing where they're like dun, 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 dun. That's from the old show.
Right.
There's several of those kinds of things that they brought in from the more popular of the original show in order to breathe life into it. Mm-hmm. We're definitely spoiling all this stuff, so I'm not worried about that. Haley Atwell.
Yep.
Does amazing.
She plays Grace.
She's so good. She's so good.
If they're gonna, which is.
If
there is another type of, if they do the reboot of the Mission Impossible, just like we had the reboot of Reacher and stuff like that. If they do, she'd be great at it though. I think she'd be because she made in Dead Reckoning, she was told you're going to be given a choice.
Right.
And she obviously, took the choice. And I think it'd be great to like build it around her. That'd be kind of cool in my book. And if not,
I think you do I think what you do is you try and you do another Mission Impossible movie. Give it time to breathe.
We need like 3-4 years before we have anything else.
I think more like 5.
Just that would be better.
Give us almost nearly a decade.
Let us forget.
I don't know about let us forget, but give us some distance. Then you do another Mission Impossible. I think you bring Simon Pegg back as Benji. You definitely bring Haley Atwell back. I think Pom Clemente, I can take her leave. She's fine. I get it. But at the same time, I didn't miss much from her. Go ahead.
I think you would also have to bring the gentleman that, what's his name? I just told you, Rolf Saxon. He plays the CIA Williams. Because
Donalo, rather. Donalo,
yeah.
Whatever.
And then you bring back Davis, who was played by Greg Tarzan. That he was the
yes.
You bring because he played a massive role in this movie.
He did.
And he actually had a lot of screen time. So I think that would be a nice little team. And I think like you have one of the people that were in the war room with her become president, because Angela Bassett's still president.
Sure.
You had one of them become president.
Yeah. Now you can carry
see,
that.
We're writing a movie for whoever wants.
Really
See
are.
more ideas,
good,
Hollywood.
or a really good Amazon series.
Oh,
because
Amazon's been
doing, with Reacher and everything else.
Jack Ryan, Reacher, that would be a great.
Wheel of Time is hitting on all thrusters.
Again,
whether or not you like it or not, Rings of Power looks amazing.
Right.
Money wise, they're putting money into it. Right. But I feel like if you do that, if you bring them into it, and you there's a world in which you can pull that off.
Oh, absolutely.
I really do think that.
Absolutely.
I think the revelation that Shea Wiggum's character Briggs, who was introduced in the last movie, he was actually Degas's partner.
Right.
You find out his last name is actually Phelps.
Yep. Which
he's Jim Phelps' son from the original. The original series, Jim Phelps was played by a different actor, and then they, but that actor didn't want to come back for them because he was still alive at the time. He didn't want to do Mission Impossible the movie because he didn't like the direction they were going to take him because they were going to make him a traitor in essence. He'd get tired of it. John Voight picked that part up instead. But the original like Jim Phelps was the white haired guy from the original series. And that actor, he didn't want to do it. He was like, I'm not going to let them. I don't want to go out like that.
My legacy like
this.
this.
Yeah, I don't want him to see me doing that.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, fine. And
that's fair.
But the fact that you got now the character Briggs, who's his son, and I thought that was cool. It worked, especially because at the very end, he kind of like finally gives his like sign off on the whole thing. I felt like the stakes were so sky high in this.
Oh, absolutely.
But it created, I'm not used to that level of tension.
No, and it was throughout the entire movie. There was no, like, the movie's 3 hours long.
Didn't you tell me at one point your watch?
I was serious, Sam. Like my watch, my Apple Watch.
It's like your heart rate is going.
My heart rate was a little high, so it dinged me on my wrist.
And you even showed it to me. You're like, look, apparently this movie's getting me a little hyped up. I was like, oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
No, that's cool.
One of the things that I did love is all the flashback scenes that we got. It wasn't even just in the beginning that we got them.
Right.
And by flashbacks, I don't even mean like, oh, they showed this like long scene. It was just shots of him, of what he's done. Yeah. And then that, to me, that goes back to the CIA agent.
Sure.
Where that was, and I remember, because I've told you that they do kind of blur. You know?
Of course. Oh, they do. Absolutely
so
do.
when he broke into the vault and the knife was left behind, one of the things I loved when they were in the Bering Sea, near the Bering Sea, was when he saw the analyst, he handed him back the knife that he had left or dropped at the time.
Unreal.
And to find out that that's when he quote unquote lost his job. He was just reassigned to some Arctic circle.
So if you remember the scene, and I'll probably cut it in the scene, the guy who plays Kittredge, same actor, he literally, as when they're talking about the vault break, he leans over and whispers to his assistant. He's like,
"What about him? I want him manning a radar tower in Alaska by the end of the day. Just mail him his clothes.
Like, just go. I want him gone." And you find out it actually helped. Like, he sees it as
he thanked him because he found the love of his life.
And so this is good storytelling. That happens right at the moment, roughly in the story, when Tom Cruise is really concerned or debating what have my decisions brought.
Right.
What have my decisions made happen? What am I facing? What's going to be left of of what I is this my fault? Have I made bad decisions to this point? Is there anything? And then all of a sudden he looks and he apologizes, and dude looks at him and goes, "For what?" He's like, "I found the love of my life.
Yeah.
I would have still probably been there, but I would have been miserable." Now, the one thing they did do was they kind of by retcon, I mean, they sort of retroactively gave us this new continuity. He come to find out he apparently designed the software of the Black Vault. So they made him Benji level tech guy.
Right.
Which I was like, okay. Because you didn't know that. All we thought was he was basically, we just assumed he was the analyst who comes in, does some morning work and whatever else and has to be in the list and all the stuff. We had no clue he actually was the guy who designed the software that runs the entire vault.
So when they come running in to take all that stuff, they fly all the way to Alaska to get all the discs and all that stuff. He knew how to quote unquote repair or recreate
unreal. Well, that's just that. But the
system.
fact, and then when he tells Benji, he's like, "Hey, look, dude, you're not gonna find anything here. We're wasting time." He's like, "I already found out what they learned.
I already know what the
And
coordinates
his memory,
are.
he's like, you know the coordinates? He's like, yeah, bro, here. It's like,
And I thought it was really, it was adorable the way they kept working as they're like, you found the coordinates? What are you talking about?
That's
and they're
right.
like soldering these pieces of the just like this
At this
high tech
point, yeah.
nonsense that they're. For all we know, they're building a fan, a microwave.
They had to make an old school floppy drive.
Oh yeah, that's what they had to do.
It's like,
I'm like,
what? Or at
yeah,
least something that
yeah.
can read the magnetic tape of the
Like I said,
Yeah,
they were either they're making a microwave or something instead. They weren't building a computer. He knew those coordinates. So
No, it's real.
the woman that played his wife,
Oh, I
while
love
she
her.
didn't have, she had a few lines.
Yeah.
And they were in her native tongue. She emoted everything
So
amazingly.
well.
Yeah, like I
So
hope to
well.
see her like in something else. Like give her some more lines. Like I know she was a very small role, but she emoted those emotions so well.
Lucy Tulugarjuk. She plays Tepiza.
Tepiza, that's her name.
Tulugarjuk. I'm assuming, yeah.
Tulugarjuk,
I'm
yeah.
assuming she's either Inuit or
Yeah,
one of those
yeah.
Alaskan
Because
cultures.
she was teaching Grace the
Yeah.
language on the
Yeah.
with
Teaching
the-
her how
to do the dog sled.
Yeah, it was so great. I love it. Oh my gosh. I love the fact that everything from the trailers is in the movie.
amazing. Yeah, it is.
And it's not
yeah.
the only stuff. There are people who are like, "Did we see the best stuff in the trailers?" No. No. But I love I forgot that Ving Rhames' character had been injured in the last movie.
Yeah,
So
I
that's
did
why
too.
when
we saw that
Ethan,
room.
when Ethan goes to him, so the whole movie starts. They establish in the thing 2 months after the last movie.
Mm-hmm.
So for 2 months, this AI thing called the Entity has been running roughshod over the world rather, and is threatening and is taking over the nuclear arsenal for each of all the major nuclear. And it's funny.
The major nations that have the nuclear warheads.
This Christopher McQuarrie and Tom Cruise have not written. They didn't write an amazingly deep script. Now, there's wonderful dialogue, there's wonderful things, there's wonderful moments and scenes, but at the end of the day, and this is part of why ultimately my score has changed. There was not this wasn't War and Peace or Shakespeare. Okay, it's at its core, the enemy wasn't even the enemy. Like, there's no big boss, big bad that you're used to.
It's literally
I'm sorry, Gabriel's garbage.
Gabriel is just the middleman, we'll say.
Last movie, I thought I was going to say last episode.
See, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
All right.
Gabriel is garbage. Yes, he really doesn't. The Entity is the boss, we'll say.
Right.
But he believed he could control it, which
Yes.
made him matter.
Right.
That's probably the only thing
No, I agree
that
with that.
made him matter.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
My issue was that, so we're stuck with him with chasing Gabriel. Because they essentially, solve the, so this AI has one basic issue and one basic function going on. The AI is just trying to
Eliminate the human race almost?
but it's such a cliche way of doing it.
Yeah.
It's like, this is literally that plot thread is every AI plot thread you've ever seen ever in
That's
the history
true.
of
That's
ever.
true.
There's nothing unique. They don't tread any new territory. There's nothing interesting. It's literally the most contrived. Like, the AI stopped being interesting last movie.
Not just that, but I think they needed to lean a little more into, and this is not what made me change my score, by the way.
No, go ahead.
They needed to lean into it being more used as a weapon, which is why Gabriel wanted it.
Sure.
It was alluded to towards the end when she said, when she went to Ethan, when Grace went to Ethan and said, we trust, you're the only one that we trust with this, or when he came out of the ocean, when he came out of the sea.
You know what would have been more interesting to me? I'm about to that thing I do where I write it.
Where you write a better story?
A better movie. Or at least a plot.
Yeah.
Because I feel like this is what you're missing. This is the piece that's missing as far as I'm concerned. I feel like if you don't establish... Okay, they should have had the AI do everything it's done to this point.
Right.
But then have them... There's a moment where Cruise gets into this coffin thing.
Okay, yeah, I see where you're going
and he
with
goes
this.
into its head and he talks to him. Now, my first thought was, somehow it was going to download into his brain and it was going to ultimately control him.
But it gave him the knowledge and the
Right.
stuff to say the things that he said.
Correct. No, it did. But my thought is, what if it had had a conversation with him? What if it had explained, listen, my goals are this. What if it had explained that its goals were actually benevolent, not evil? It wants to control the things because humanity will continue to hurt itself with this and that. Give it this hardcore altruistic through line. And the whole time Tom Cruise is trying to argue, but you can't override man's free will, the whole thing, all those ignorant things we argue about. That now you're at least having a conversation. Now,
We meet the villain.
so
Now
yes
you
and
can't
no.
call it a villain
No,
then.
yes, no,
Right,
no,
but
but
it
you
still
have a
makes sense.
conversation. Now what you create is there's ambiguity in Tom Cruise because Tom Cruise understands, okay, I can't explain to everyone else in the world that this AI is not trying to kill us. I cannot explain that. No one's going to believe me. That being the case, I have to still try to get to a place to stop it as much as possible the way that I can, this and that. And they could even have some kind of conversation. I'm going to have to try to stop. He's like, I understand, blah, 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 whatever else. And the entity could still want Tom Cruise to be its new avatar, for lack of a better way of putting it.
Yeah.
I say avatar because remember in the last movie, Gabriel had that earpiece and the AI was basically talking him through what to do, what to say, when to move, everything. Now, Gabriel's been excommunicated, if you will. He's been kicked out. He's been told, he's been shunned by the thing. So he wants to take control of it. So now you have this weird triune tension that would have been far more interesting than just the pursuit of Gabriel.
Sure, that makes sense.
Now, but then what you do is you get to that point where they're going to do the things where you get to that place toward the end. And what you do is you have the entity realize Gabriel puts things in place. That means now the entity's perceived plan is the real plan. And it's like, whoa. It's like my goal was never to harm mankind. So then you have Tom Cruise be like, well, then there's no choice. You know that this is binary. This is information. This is data. What do we do if your only other option is not available? She's like, well, then I have to depend on you. And that's when you have the AI say, but there's only a such and such per 1,000 millionth % chance that you're going to be successful. And he should be like, that's what I do. Like that's literally, you don't, like you said, you don't know. And now you're like, and have them be like, and what you do is then you have the AI hold for a second, running through visuals like it's going through the files about him again, only to be like, confirmed. Confirmed. You're the only and I'm like, now you have a computer.
If you wish to accept this mission.
See? That would have been so dope. I would have been like,
okay, so now that you've said that.
That would have made my...
Who's in possession of the entity right now?
Tom Cruise.
That's right. Ethan has it.
It ends with it. And I don't know because it's so funny. He said, he goes, I don't know that it's the right thing to do, whatever. And then Haley Atwell's character, Grace, makes the argument, you know, I don't trust anybody else. Who would I trust? You, because he's been the world's guardian angel for forever, all this time.
And we assume he goes in because you know they live in the shadows and they die in the shadows. For all we know, he's gone into hiding now with the disc with this glowing cube thing.
This glowing USB drive.
And it's as big as like a Jenga block.
It totally is, and it glows. I'm like, bro, what are you doing? Anyway. But yeah, no,
wait a minute. Having said that, they could reboot the Mission Impossible. You know, this AI is out there.
Right.
Tom Cruise doesn't have to do any of the stunts. He doesn't have to come back as Ethan. And if he does come back as Ethan, it's in a very small cameo role.
My thought would be he'd be voiceovers, but then have him be the one assigning the missions. Have him be the one. Have him suddenly just doing, and like basically what you do is. But then you have, because notice Kittredge was not involved. IMF throughout this whole franchise has become somewhat ambiguous.
Yeah,
you don't necessarily. They are a clandestine service that doesn't actually align with anybody but the world's best interests. Mm-hmm. They're not. It isn't about what's best for the United States. What's best for this. It's best for how we're saving the world.
Right.
And I feel like that, mind you, it's way bigger and way off the original mandate of the series, because this series was originally supposed to be a response to James Bond. James Bond was Great Britain's whatever, and it was supposed to be America as a team these are and that's why you have your one guy who does this and that and the other, and everybody's they all specialized. You had your weapons expert, you had your disguise person, you had your computer tech person, and you had your point man who was your Ethan Hunt. You know, who was sort of the catch-all, do everything. Then a couple of seasons they would introduce a femme fatale who would be on the team, so you had sort of that angle covered, and all these pieces. You had the heist person. Usually the female was always the heisty person.
Yeah. Well, look at Grace. She was the greatest pickpocketer ever.
So it's all about timing, and they did that so
all
good.
About the way they intertwined everything from first of all from the first part of this from Dead Reckoning, and all the other previous missions. You know, just it really, yeah.
So I felt like when I watched and I saw another reviewer recently who said something similar to this, but but the idea is sound. It's as if they knew we need to make sure people remember because they went deep. They went all the way to the first movie, and you see a reference to the first movie. You see scenes from the second movie, but they don't really get into the second movie much. They really jump back in on Christopher McQuarrie's first one, the one he did with J.J. Abrams, which is Mission Impossible 3, which is where they introduced the rabbit's foot. Now, this is the part that while it felt straight up super contrived, also made the most sense.
Yeah.
Because J.J. Abrams always gives you the question box. He goes, it's the MacGuffin. It's the thing you're looking for. They never tell you much about it. And so much so they lampshade in that movie. And Benji's like, you know what I'm concerned about when I hear about something like this that nobody knows anything about. I call it the God Killer. It's the anti-God. It's something that's so terrible, so bad that nobody should whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Benji. So they set up this nothing burger, and then in the very end, it's handed off. Ethan never worries about it. So long Ethan's story is all that actually mattered. They use the MacGuffin to tell Ethan's story about his wife at the time, the whole bit. So then you get to this movie, and you find out that wasn't a virus. It wasn't a pathogen. It was the base source code for what was going to be the entity.
Yes.
My brain exploded because I'm a huge continuity fan. 2, clearly they did not. That wasn't the original plan when J.J. Abrams did it.
No.
But the fact that Christopher McQuarrie and Tom Cruise were able to come together and put that thought together coherently, and though it's corny, it's on brand for Mission Impossible.
It totally is. And it's not what you think all the time.
Right.
Not just people, but items, things, story. It's not what you think, which is one thing I really did enjoy about all of these movies. It never was what I thought. Yeah. Including the ending of this movie.
No, for sure. And they did a bunch of stuff. They did a lot with it. I think it's funny. I told somebody online who was like, because I was like, oh, I love the movie, blah, blah, blah. And they said, does Tom Cruise die? And I was like, I mean, what, you don't see him in the end. Whatever. Anyway, but no. What is, okay, so tell me what your, okay, do you want to do our scores?
Yes.
And then explain why we changed them from.
Well, you already explained yours.
Well, my original was 10-10.
Right.
I was originally you walk out of this thing blown away and impressed. It doesn't feel like it's runtime.
No, I did not know it was 3 hours.
No,
I did not realize that at all.
Very fast.
Yeah.
And I was like,
my heart rate was going crazy.
Yeah, man. This is one of those rare movies where they throw you into high gear and then progressively keep you there.
Yes.
Now there's a lot of exposition in the first 20 minutes because they have to sort of set up a bunch of things really quickly.
It's been a minute since we saw Dead Reckoning too, so they have to replay all that.
Right. So and then they have to establish who the characters are. We find out what's her face is. She's gone from being the head of the CIA to now she's the Angela Bassett. Yeah. Now she's the actual president of the United States. Right. So we'll see. Anyway, but go on. So all right. So your score is what?
So what did you give it?
Oh, my score now?
Yeah.
My score now is a 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10. I brought it down 1. It was still an amazing ending for me in terms of the series. Mm-hmm. It landed. It stuck the landing. It's a wonderful crowning jewel on this giant mountain of Mission Impossible-ness that it serves the legacy of both Tom Cruise, the character Ethan Hunt, the series Mission Impossible. It's one of those rare series that was rebooted in the 90s in terms of taking a TV, because back in the 90s, everybody was doing
TV shows to movies, right. Yeah.
And so it was one of those rare opportunities where they did it, and they did it so right. It has essentially maintained, been steady, and been consistent all this time.
I agree.
So this did what it needed to do. I know a lot of critics out there are saying it's messy, it's this, it's that. Yes, it's all those things, but that's what Mission Impossible's
always been a messy type.
Yeah.
That's because it keeps you guessing, and you get. Yeah,
I really like this last trilogy of Christopher McQuarrie's, where pretty much since Ghost Protocol, it has been they brought back the team mentality. It had slipped briefly and become only Ethan Hunt, the Ethan Hunt show. And they were like, no, this is Mission Impossible. This is you got to have your tech guy. You got to have this person. You got to have that. You got to have these elements. And they brought it back to that. And they've maintained that now. And I was worried that it was always going to be just him by himself, because that first movie, his whole team dies.
Right.
And so, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So you're fine. So mine, I took it down. My score is a 9.5 out of 10. Only because they didn't leave the I wanted Ethan to die at the end. Let's just be for real, okay? Wow. I think he should have died. That's just that
sounded.
I
wanted him to be done.
Not because Luther died, and and because of that, I think it would have been very poetic to see Ethan die, saving the world from this massive nuclear.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I
get it. Now he lives in the shadows with the actual entity itself. But that's literally the only reason why. I think the ending would have been
lives in the shadows.
I think, but it didn't spoil the movie. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, there was even a couple times during the movie where we leaned over, I bet you he dies in the end, and oh my gosh, he didn't die in the end, because logically, when parachutes fail.
Yeah.
There's a spare chute backup.
I swear,
and I totally forgot about that.
I was hoping he would have gone out that way, because how awesome would it have been?
Yeah.
Because they were doing that. He's falling, he puts the thing in, and you're just like, oh. And you watch Haley Atwell's character. She's sitting there. She's waiting for the light to turn green, because as soon as it turns green, it's going to be like green, snip, glow, pull, and she does all. It's so fast.
In the blink of an eye. That's what they got. That was the biggest tagline in a blink of an eye.
It's so good, so good.
And I could be wrong, but I could have sworn she said Ethan when it. I could be wrong, but I feel like when the light went green.
She might have.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of, but yeah. There were 2 bombs that had to be defused.
Oh my god, so many bombs.
And
bombs.
And they weren't really even diffused. It was just lesser of an impact.
Yeah. The first one with what's his face was Ving Rhames' character, Luther. When Luther died, it was either we're going to nuke 5 miles of Paris, or I can disarm the nuke part.
And just to collapse the tunnels. Yeah.
And I'm done. And it was like,
and the thing was, because he was so injured and so ill, he knew he was gonna die. He gave a great speech when he was undoing the bomb, and then he gave a great speech at the end.
I love the fact that he thought of it.
Yeah,
he thought of not only this message will self-destruct in 5 seconds. It also destroyed the base code hard drive.
Yes,
so they could never rebuild this thing.
Right,
and I was like, bro, the fact that Luther was that forward thinking, that he was brilliant to the end.
To the end.
He was the fullest, most perfect fulfillment of the character we were sold in the first Mission Impossible movie.
And I want to say he died doing what he was really good at and almost doing what he loved, which was saving lives.
Yeah. Yeah,
so,
I love some things I do love absolutely from this series. The new lore addition, which is that everybody here is, and then maybe this is from the original show and I missed it, but everybody was once given a choice, to join, and basically should you accept it, your mission is to be this help safeguard, be blah blah blah, use your skills to help. Yeah. And when we call you, be ready to answer that call. And then, and if anything happens, we'll disavow. Sorry, you're moving. You know what I mean? But it's such a neat concept.
If you get caught, that
they introduce that lore, and you're like, oh, how awesome is that? And it's just, I'm ready for that. Like, I would totally dig. Matter of fact, if they wanted to just say, okay, in 3 years, announce they're doing an Amazon series that's tangentially connected. We hear about the character of Ethan Hunt. Maybe you bring Simon Pegg in to whatever
Once
to
in a
lead it
while,
up or
sure.
somebody, whatever. But and let it just be their other mission teams. Let Mission Impossible happen again, but in that small prestige 8-episode format.
Yeah, that'd be a great idea.
I love that. I think it'd be great. Not everything has to be world ending, but I think it would be cool, definitely,
Yeah.
for sure. And just kind of and you could even get if you can get audio cameos from Tom Cruise. They don't have to be on video.
No.
Just have him be a voice or something, giving the missions and stuff once in a while. That would be amazing. It'd be so good. He might not do it though because he's big into cinema. He's big into movies.
Yeah.
He wants these people to go see these things in the movies, and I respect him for that. I think it's I think it's
He thanked us
wonderful.
at the beginning.
Yes, him personally, his big giant head on the screen thanked us. Oh man, so there you go. Now you know. And noise have the battle. You're halfway to being a know-it-all yourself. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I hope if you have not seen this movie, go see it.
Yeah.
The movie had a ridiculous budget. It's got a high bar to reach. No Mission Impossible movie's ever made this much. Its budget was $400 million allegedly.
Whoa.
And apparently it's got. There are people who argue they don't see the money on the screen. I think I kind of do.
I'm sorry. The airplane we didn't get car chases, we got airplane chases.
Yeah.
That
In other
alone.
countries,
Yeah.
they took this production of well over easily 1,000 people on the road.
Yeah.
And they in other countries were filming pieces and things, whatever. I hope this makes enough money for them to realize and see this as being a success. And that's probably why Tom Cruise has been so married to it at the moment. He's like, look, we have to put this over the top.
Right.
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 And so go see it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Would absolutely love to hear your thoughts, good or bad. Let's discuss.
How would you have liked the ending?
Yeah, totally. No, for real. But also, you can always check out my non-spoiler review if you want to. If somebody hasn't seen it, share that with them. Otherwise, if you got people who have seen it and want to hear some interesting takes, by all means, have them reach out to this channel and watch us as well, because we love having people new join up. I've gotten some really great comments lately.
Awesome.
I'm excited. Yeah, the Know It All Nation is growing, and it's growing with really smart, very intelligent people who are interested in having conversation.
That's awesome.
I had a really great comment the other day where somebody was literally saying to me, I'm so happy that you engage with your audience and you encourage them to have discussions and you don't ridicule them for their opinions. And I'm like, we're trying to build a community here.
I was going to say, and it's an opinion. It's not.
Yeah. Mine's not the end all be all. Trust me. Don't get me wrong. I think my version of the movie would have probably been better, but.
And there's my husband, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, guys. I'll talk to you again real soon. Never forget.
Everyone loves to know it all.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
So tell me what you thought. Have you seen the movie yet? If you haven't seen the movie, go see it. All right, guys. I'll talk to you again real soon. Never forget, everyone loves a know-it-all. Bye.